You gonna be around for that?
No.
Was she by any chance?
It's 6:15, August 1st. I'll ask everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Was that you?
Yeah.
You're out of here. I'm kidding. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the finance meeting. We'll take a roll call. Councilmember Gully.
Here.
Councilmember Garrett. Here. Councilmember Parator. Here. Councilmember Cummings.
Here.
Councilmember December.
Present.
Councilmember Kennedy, absent but on his way. Council President Mantello here. We have 6 here, 1 absent. We'll open it up for the public forum for finance. Is there anything on this evening's agenda that anyone would like to speak on? If you would like to, please come to the podium. You'll have 5 minutes, and we ask you to state your name and address. Okay, the finance public forum has now been closed. We'll go right into the ordinances. Ordinance 68, ordinance authorizing and ratifying the memorandum of agreement by and between the City of Troy and the Troy Police Benevolent Association. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration. Do I have a motion? Motion, Councilmember Parator. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Cummings. I did ask Andy to do a fiscal impact for the outlying years, and maybe you could bring us up to speed on that, and I know that you're always prepared.
I am. Here.
You're wonderful.
Thank you.
Councilmember Kennedy is present for the finance. Andy, do you want to, just for the public's sake, do you just want to do the financial and maybe Monica do some of the other stuff just for the public, or did you want to just give a quick overview? There's some
sure.
really good things,
Yeah.
and I really want to commend the administration, the mayor, and the PBA for coming to these terms.
Ordinance. I just have to find. All right. So it's a contract that goes through January 1st, 2018 through December 31st, 2023. Number 4 goes through the salary agreement, the salary component of it. It's broken into 2 parts, police officers 1 through 5, and then police officers 6 through sergeants. Both 1 through 5 and 6s and sergeants both took 0. That will be zeros for 2018 and 2019. 2020 through 2023 for police officers 1 through 5, it's a 1.5% raise for every single year. For 6s and sergeants, it's 2%, 3%, 4%, 3% for 2020 through 2023. If you look at the fiscal impact statement of that, so what you have, the top part is the salary schedule that goes out through each of the years. And then the estimated budget impact. And there is an asterisk there because I can't stress this enough. This is based off the current staffing levels of the police department. I am not going to forecast when police officers are going to retire, when police officers are going to be hired, nor can I forecast overtime because there's too many variables that go into it. So the numbers that are in here are just strictly salary and Social Security in the outlying years of the budget. So what you see is 304 for 2020, 439,000 for 2021, 500,000 for 2022, and 336,000 for 2023.
Those are over previous year.
So
That's
yeah,
another-
so the 304 is over what it would have been in 2020. What we did is we did our budget sheets for 2020's budget and then ran the contract over those numbers. So 2020 is over what it would have been, and then 21, 22, and 23 is over what the prior year was. The next big, financially for the contract is number 5. Effective January 1st, 2020, all current members of the PBA who are contributing 15% to health insurance will go to 20% health insurance contributions. Also effective January 1st, 2020, upon retirement, anyone who contributes to health insurance will then contribute 10% towards their health insurance contributions. That's the other financial analysis that's included in here. So this is based off of the 2019 health insurance rate for the Blue Shield plan. On an annual basis, if you're on a single plan, your increased annual contribution will be $562. For family plan, your annual contribution will increase $1,298. What you see in there below that is the change from going from 20% to 10%. It's obviously just double the active. It's $1,125 for single, $2,595 for family.
Council President,
Councilmember Parator.
is this on?
Yes.
Yes.
Andy, how does that increase in health care contribution, how does that align with other city employees?
So PBA going to 20% aligns with UPSU, who's at 20% for new members. That was effective 2 contracts ago for UPSU.
I'm sorry, I don't know what UPSU is.
UPSU is basically mostly made up of administrative employees of CSEA. So it goes, police goes, chiefs, coats, PBA. The fire department goes fire chief, UFCA, UFA, and then it goes for everyone else pretty much UPSU, CSEA. So UPSU's at 20% for 2 contracts ago. CSEA's contract that they just agreed to effective January 1st, 2020, all new hires will go to 20%. UFA is currently at 15% exempt, and then there's exempt, which is 20, non-rep, which is 20%. So it continues anywhere from 15 to 20%.
Okay, thank you.
Good. Andy.
Going through the rest of the contract, that there's an increase in uniform allowance to $850. That's not in this financial analysis. That's currently, I believe, $805, if I remember correctly, but it's not material, and it kind of gets folded into the salary impact when you look at all the variables that go through it. Otherwise, financially, there's some other big pieces. The big financial pieces, obviously, the salaries, but also, I give the PBA credit for the health insurance contributions.
It's huge, Andy, and the ones that really piqued my interest, Monica, number 13, the increase in the minimum manning. Number 14, the eligible take vacation time in 4-hour blocks rather than 8. And then I think a true biggie, the commitment on body cams to commit to come up with a policy that works for both. So maybe you could fill us in on those and anything else.
Sure. So one thing in addition to what Andy talked about, in addition to who is contributing to healthcare, we also have, if you look on this MOA, there's some significant dates on a lot of the contracts. There's those that are hired prior to a certain date. The people who are hired prior to that date actually don't contribute. So that is something that's been longstanding. A lot of them are towards retirement age at this point in time. So that's something that's been honored through a lot of these contract negotiations. So when you see that prior to, like the police officers is 1999, some of them are 1997. I think the UFA or some of the members of the UFA are like 96. So those are just, those are in there, and those are people who contribute 0. So they don't contribute to their healthcare premiums.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
Just to clarify.
Yep.
There are some there, but they're very few at this point in time. So It's not a significant thing, but I just wanted to clarify because there are some that are in a different category.
It's a good point.
Okay.
Yep, thank you. Did anyone have
Madam
questions?
President,
Councilmember Parator.
Question while you're
Yeah.
there, Deputy Mayor, and Andy. In reference to item number 16, the parties agreed to develop a written policy regarding use of body worn cameras by PBA members. I would have liked to have seen a date by which that's going to happen.
So I can give you an update. So that was what the council president was referring to. So the body cam policy, when we actually started this process back in May of last year, it was a big conversation, and it was one of the introductory points of our beginning negotiations. Both parties agree that it's an important issue that we were trying to address, and that's why it's written the way it is. We wanted to make sure that the policy was written in partnership with the PBA, and they have been actually at the table this whole time. We've gotten some really good work product. It was the PBA and the chiefs, and we also invited others into that program. They helped develop the policy. They researched other municipalities and other policies. So they crafted it together to come up with the draft language. And now it's going to get to a point now where we'll get it to the attorneys and all that other stuff. So we're like right around the corner from this. So it was a partnership and together with them. That's why we wrote it the way we did. We wanted them at the table to have to wear it. So we want their input in how that policy looks. And they've been tremendous partners with the chiefs and the department to create that policy.
Deputy Mayor, right around the corner means what? A couple of months, a year?
Well, I mean, we have to go to impact bargaining, and you'll see that it says if it continues on to page on number 16, there is an impact bargaining component that we have to do. So the draft policy has been delivered to our labor attorney. He's reviewing it. We're going to meet, and then once that we have our internal review, it will be sent to the PBA's attorney for their, and then we'll have to sit down and have a meeting and look at the impact of this program to the members of that union. And we might have to come to agreement on some policy changes, stuff like that, and then we'll be able to implement it. But this is a big step. It's an initial step. I think it's important to establish it, put it in writing, that the parties agree to do it. And we're at the table, and we have to work out some of the legal issues to be able to make sure it's good for everybody.
And
It's imminent. Like it's not, we're not saying like 16 years from now, right? It's imminent, but we do have to do the process that the union process makes us do. And that's
I'd
okay.
just like to say for the record that I think we're long overdue with having body cameras in Troy, New York. So I don't mean to be confrontational about this. I'm not trying to be. I just want to state for the record that I think we should be implementing body cameras in the city of Troy, New York now.
Completely agreed. The body cam policy, not only does it protect the members of the union, it protects the public. We're looking at storage, how long of a time period we store these records, when do we turn cameras on, when do we turn cameras off, how do we protect the public? So if there's sensitive situations, what happens if somebody asks us to turn them off? When do we do it, how to retain it? The body cam policy actually takes all of that into consideration while we create it, to not only protect the officers and the city, but also to protect the people who we're trying to protect. And that's who we take an oath to protect. So while I understand the frustration, there's a lot of legality and a lot of liability we're absorbing while doing that. And there's also the process of once it is in storage and we do have a situation, what does that look like as well too? We have to forecast what the impact of this is going to be on the city and what that policy is going to make sure that we can do with that program. We've got really great examples using Albany. The officers and also the chiefs have taken site visits to them to actually debrief with them on their programs in this intermediate time from the time we have a draft policy till we get to implementation. What are their bugs? What are their issues? What are their obstacles? What do they like? What do they don't like?
Okay.
They've done their due diligence and they're doing a great job at rolling it out. It is not a fast process and the legalities of it are monumental.
as someone who called for body cams 3 years ago, I'm not one to normally defend the administration. In this case, I have seen other municipalities go through some very challenging difficulties, lawsuits. And so I do appreciate the due diligence that has happened regarding these. I even think that the PBA at first was a little skeptical. And I do think between the council and the administration that minds are coming together. But saying all of that, sounds like it's imminent. It's going to happen. And hopefully we'll, now, do we have to approve that policy, or is that just between the PBA and the mayor?
That will be a policy that they'll direct through the department itself.
Okay,
And
Very
the legal department of obviously will
yeah,
approve that as well too.
obviously.
Yep.
Okay,
So again, I just want to state for a fact that the PBA through this process has never been negative on the
Right.
body cam policy. They've
Yep.
been at the table, they've been developing it. So I commend them for coming together on this.
no, I agree, and we need to do it right, so.
Okay, so then other things, you want to go through some of the?
One sec, I do know Councilmember December and then Councilmember Cummings.
And thank you for the work on this. I will just say for the record that I also want to make sure that we can get this body cam policy in place. But I do appreciate the complexity of the process, and I'm glad to hear that the administration and the PBA are working on this together. I did have a question about another piece with regards to the. Actually, you want to go on?
I just have a very quick question for
Yeah, I
Andy.
was going to ask if we stay on body cams and then we'll go to the other piece. I know Monica
Okay.
wanted to brief us
Michael.
on
You
the
had asked
other
a couple
pieces.
other ones,
I did.
right.
I actually asked for 13, 14,
Well, while I
16.
still have the floor, can I
Yes.
just, what was the
Yeah.
lawsuit that you were referencing with?
The
with body
other
cameras?
municipalities,
Yeah,
out of the state, not
Okay.
not in our state.
I just wanted to know the force size you used for these estimates.
Active
It's
employees.
active employees, so 131 minus whatever's on the vacancy list tonight. It is the current staffing levels of the police department.
Good question.
Thank you.
Monica.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so the minimum manning, we're willing to come to the table. We know that's an important topic, not only for the officers, but also for the community and the administration. So we agreed to come together to work through that. I know that the PBA as well as the chiefs have some concepts and some thoughts on that. Obviously, what does that look like? How do we pay for it? You know, how do we put it into implementation mode? So we are willing to have a conversation around that and propose it and see what that looks like. So we didn't craft anything together, but we are saying we're coming together. We're going to talk about it because we know it's an important topic. So we got to take a look at that. The other piece of that, obviously, one of the things that people tend to overlook is this, the military leave. Traditionally, it is a 30-day paid. So if you get called to active duty or get deployed, we provide 30 days worth of pay. The PBA proposed this. I thought it was a great opportunity to support our active duty soldiers and be able to pay them for 45 days. So that was a great addition by them. And then also one of the other things is, we like to have really healthy employees. So the CPAT test, I'm sorry, not the CPAT, that's firefighters. The Cooper Standard test effective this year. If they choose to pass that, then we will give them a stipend of $400. So that is a new one. There's pretty much, we raise their uniform allowance. They have to buy we provide them equipment in their uniforms initially, but then all of their extra gear and all that kind of stuff, it's expensive. So we raise that up to be equal to some others. And the 4-hour time blocks actually was a more of a flexibility piece. So instead of taking a whole day off and then us having to backfill that as well for overtime, giving them the flexibility of being able to take it in 4-hour blocks rather than a full day block actually helps scheduling wise as well as for them as well.
Good.
Okay.
Awesome.
Anything else?
Andy, anything we missed?
No.
No?
No. It's been a long process and an educating process, but at the end of the day, the PBA was great to work with. Thank you.
Awesome. Councilmember Cummings, Councilmember December.
I'm just working this around in circles, and I think it's. So the total salary cost increases over the next, so if you accumulate them to 2023, is about 1.4 million in additional budget line by then.
Yes.
Just wanted a little bit of thoughts on where that is coming out of, what's being reduced in the MAC. What are the other possible sources for
It
that?
could come out of there. I mean, I will say, I mean, I would be surprised if it's that expensive. I mean, obviously, you're going to have people retire over the life of the contract.
Right.
I mean,
True, so some.
I'm not trying to dodge a question. I just am not a big fan of saying this is being offset by this. I mean,
Right.
the budget is
I
a
just
lot
want a little
big.
clarity
It's
for the people on this, in terms of, I know there's been a lot of talk about looking forward to getting out from under the MAC, and certainly I look forward to that too. And I think this is part of that, right? Now we're finally able to negotiate fair contracts with our.
I will say it is much easier to budget a contract with numbers like this going out into the out years than it is to budget back. I mean, if you're budgeting back, then you have the current year addressing 18. Getting 2 zeros is
Great.
It's an admirable move by the PBA to take that.
I did take that total number and divide it by 131, and it's about 11,000 per person. So I'm I don't know where that change could be from, because it's looking like the total.
But I mean, it's a whole calculator that goes into it. You also have to remember that there's step increases. So we factored in over the life of the contract. If there's a police officer 2 today, this analysis looks at them when there's the impact of 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6.
So it assumes that they.
This assumes that no one retires and everyone stays on the force. It's a high number, but there's too many variables to factor in.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Andy, council member.
Yes, I just had a question about number 10, the health insurance for widows and widowers. Is that the same practice as the previous contract? And I just want to clarify my understanding is correct, that once they are eligible for Medicare, then they come off of the insurance. Is that right?
Yeah, it's actually a continuation. It's just a reaffirmation of the MOA that was done back in October 13th of 2017.
So no changes to that.
Correct. It's just
Okay.
shall continue to provide.
And on that note, the retirees, incredible job saving the healthcare. And believe me, we were all skeptical, full disclosure. My dad, police officer, detective, 30 years, and my mom was very nervous about the healthcare. It's working out fabulous, I believe.
Oh, for Humana.
For Humana.
Correct,
Yeah.
Humana.
Yeah,
And
No, absolutely. I think that they're a good company and they're aggressive because they're trying to get in the territory. So they're providing, they were more than willing to come to the table and match what we were currently giving. And that's a really important piece for the union members and retirees that we have, that we provide the same benefits.
it's huge.
Yeah, well, it's actually required, but yes.
Madam President,
Yes, Councilmember Parator.
I just want to commend the administration and the PBA for the long work and the effort that went into that. We appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Okay, further discussion. I have to abstain. Full disclosure, my nephew is PBA president because he signs this. There really is no conflict, but there could be an appearance of conflict, so I just don't think it would be appropriate for me to vote on this negotiated agreement. However, I do want to go on record stating I fully support it. I commend Mark, Nick, the whole team, the mayor, Monica, fabulous job. Council member. It's okay. I think as finance chair, it's just automatic. I don't think that would project. Yeah.
Council President?
Council member.
Yeah, I would just like to go on the record too as well to say thank you for the administration and the PBA working together on this. Special thanks to Nick Labiano. He did reach out prior to make sure we had all the information we needed, so I appreciate that as well.
Very good. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? 1. 6 ayes, 0 noes, 1 abstain. Very good. All right. Ordinance 69, ordinance authorizing the allocation of neighborhood improvement program funds. Councilmember Kennedy, do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion, Councilmember December, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Gully. Councilmember Kennedy, would you take us through this and bring us up to speed? The projects look fantastic.
Yes, I will. For the neighborhood improvement program, there was funding left over from the first round that we announced in the spring. which allows the council to fund various community projects throughout the city. Based on the remaining funding left over, the council seeks to award $1,910 to 4 different projects. One being the 5th Ward War Memorial, trees and landscaping materials. The next, South Troy Pop Warner to repair the siding on their storage building. Friends of Pauling Park for additional landscaping materials, and Riverside Neighborhood and Osgood Neighborhood are partnering together for their annual alley rally, which we are providing placards and maybe other materials for, which will take place this Saturday, or in 3 weeks, Saturday, August 24th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's like a citywide, as far as south of downtown is concerned, neighborhood garage sale in the alleyways. So we encourage all the public to participate, and we are happy that people are still participating in the neighborhood improvement program, and we encourage more people to participate next year.
Fantastic job, Councilmember Kennedy, Councilmember Cummings, and Councilmember Gully on the subcommittee. And, I think little by little, we're getting different projects geographically, some gateway projects, but some real neighborhood and park projects. The one,
Council President?
yeah,
I'll
council member.
Just to enunciate that, we had 33 projects participate this year, which is
A record.
definitely a record and a large increase from the previous years.
Great.
Fantastic job, and hopefully that number will keep going up. How much money do we have left over, council member? Do you have that number, Mara?
It's a little less than 1,000.
Okay, a little less than 1,000, just in case folks haven't heard. Okay, very good. Any further questions? I think the one, the South Troy Pop Warner, they've really been in dire need of some assistance up there. The field alone has its challenges, but saying that, that's a new one, and I'm happy to see that. So nice work. Very nice work. Council member.
Yeah, I'd also like to thank the committee and Councilmember Kennedy on their work on this program. We've seen these small dollar dollars can go a long way to neighborhood improvements throughout the city. I think we should continue to prioritize these kinds of projects because the beautification of these ideas are really important for promoting and encouraging community development. And I hope we continue. I hope we can get more than 33 next time. So keep up the good work. Thank you for your work on this, and I'll be voting in favor.
Council President,
Council member Parator.
question, Mr. Kennedy, what will happen with the $900 left over?
We have to decide among ourselves what to do with the additional funding, but it was discussed that we would intend to allocate it towards improving the technology of the audio and video capability for our council chambers here, based on public input on how we can improve access to our meetings.
Excellent, great,
Yeah.
thank you.
Might be more than $900 worth, we're being told, but we'll see. I mean, and we apologize to the public on this challenging atmosphere in terms of the audio and the sound. And we'll remind everyone to include myself. I forget sometimes to please speak into the mic.
Absolutely. Council President.
Councilmember Gully.
I'd like to just thank Councilman Kennedy. And I'd like to give him that title of spearhead again, because he worked hard. He focused on a lot of the work and took a lot of the pressure off the committee by having everything right in front of us. So I want to thank you for your hard work. And I want to point out that it's fun to watch this program grow, not just the projects or the outcome of the projects, but I think what I like to see is how the community starts to buy in. And it's not about just the people who register for the program. It's about the list of helpers that come with every one of these applications. That shows you that there's a lot of strength out there in the community, and we just need to keep building on it. This is a great program. I hope we still get the funding from where we get it from, and I hope we can grow it larger next year. And I hope that we watch this thing go for many, many years. It's been a pleasure to work with you guys on this.
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, remember, Councilmember Gully and all of us, you know, these are $100, $300 projects, and we're seeing economic development happen because of these projects. Because quality of life is a huge lure to investment. So part of this is part of that partnership. So great job to the council, and it's bipartisan. I love it. All right. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, 7-0, ordinance 69. Ordinance 70, ordinance transferring funds within the 2019 general fund budget. Council President Mantello, at the request of the administration. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Parator. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Gully. I did ask Andy for who the consultants are on these. Thank you, Andy.
So the transfers out of consulting services, the parks one, that line's primarily used for the maintenance of one of the city parks, which I can't remember off the top of my head. Consultant services for the golf course. That's golf course is for his long-term capital plan. So there are savings in
Gotcha.
both of those lines. So we're taking money out and reappropriating it into for the parks, other materials and supplies, and utilities, and then golf course for 2 different utilities lines. And I think what you're seeing is we created the new departments last year.
Yep.
There's still some, growing pains in some ways on recreation used to be in one department. Everything was paid out of the parks, the golf course, the rinks, all paid out of one utility line. So when you split it out, it really is an 18-month process to make sure you get the truer cost of it when everything's aggregated as one. So I think that's the main purpose of this transfer, is just continuing to make sure we align the right amount of funding in each expenditure account.
Perfect. Further questions for Andy? Thank you, Andy. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ordinance 70 passes 7-0. You'll see at least on mine online, in the backup, you will see bear with me. Maybe here we go. A resolution in the backup online for Scolight. It's an environmental impact, a seeker, but it is not
That's right.
on the agenda. I just want folks out in the audience. But on that note, the proposed lease at Scolight will be on the General Services Committee next Thursday, August 8th at 6 o'clock. And that lease will be discussed, and the proposed leasors, I guess it will be present to talk about that. So stay tuned, folks.
I'll fix that. I didn't
Yep,
realize that.
no problem. Okay, so resolution 50, we'll move to resolution confirming the reappointment of Sharon Martin to the position of assessor of the city of Troy. Council President Mantello, at the request of the administration, do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion, Councilmember Gully. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Cummings. And I did want to say Sharon is here with us with her 2 sons. And I thought it'd be a great idea, and she absolutely did not want to participate in this. However, I will not let her slide. I would like Sharon to come up and just real briefly, minute and a half, and her sons agreed. Just give us a scoop. What do you have planned? And her term is a 6-year term. I'm like, you are not a judge. Saying that, Sharon, give us the scoop. Like, what do you foresee for the next 6 years? Thank you. And then Councilmember Cummings.
I just wanted to correct it. It's resolution 55.
55. I'm sorry. Thank you.
So within the next few years, I would like to have an update to put our equalization rate back to 100, because as you know, it's fallen to 93%. And what I like to have is that every taxpayer is paying their fair share. No one's paying any more or any less than they should. don't know if you're aware, but the state has done a lot of changes with the STAR exemption over the last couple of years. And they tend to put it out in their April 1st budget and then tell the STAR unit to figure it out. And then all these senior citizens are very confused. So we've spent endless time trying to help them and advocate for them to make sure that they get what they deserve. And this year is no different than last year. So we're still in the midst of all of that.
And Sharon,
Yep.
on that note, and, please feel free to jump in and ask questions as a finance. On that note, the whole STAR, wasn't there an issue where initially people were getting it off of their taxes? Some people were getting a check. Now it's all changed. Everybody's getting a check, correct? Or no? All right, fill us in.
That's what,
That's the STAR enhanced.
no, that's,
Okay.
so in the past, though, before 2015, you would get the STAR exemption off of your school tax bill. So you would get a reduced bill. Since after 2015, the governor's changed it where anybody new that signs up or moves would get a check in the mail. So this year, he's trying to entice those people like myself that have it reduced off your tax bill. So if you live in the Troy School District and you have the basic STAR and you got your school tax bill, your STAR value was $635. If you got a check in the mail, your check was for $648. If you had the enhanced STAR, you got $1,270 off your school tax bill. But I'm hearing, I haven't seen it in print, but I'm hearing that the people that actually got a check got $1,295. So if there's an increase in the STAR value up to 2% every year, only those people that get the check are going to see that increase. But what people have to keep in mind is that if they have an escrow account and they switch to that, then their escrow is going to go up. And if they don't alert their escrow account that they're going to be short that $635, then they're going to have a shortage at the end of the year, and the escrow company is going to take more than that to plan ahead and have the extra cushion that they keep. So there's a lot of things going on that you have to really explain to people, because what the state puts out sometimes is confusing.
And I'm sorry to detract you.
No, that's okay. But I'm glad that you did, because it's a big issue right now.
It is.
And the seniors, the 80, 90 years old people who bring that stuff in a paper bag, who are now supposed to go online, it just doesn't happen.
Right.
So those are the people that we try to reach out to and really help to make sure that they get what they deserve.
Maybe next year, can we look at, because I've seen some other municipalities offer like tax advice to seniors and, just like a pop-up somewhere, maybe even hit a senior center.
We've done that. Yeah, we've done the
Okay.
senior center in the past.
Good.
And we definitely could do that again.
Yeah, let's do that next year.
Yeah.
All right,
That's
Councilman?
great.
Council member.
Do we get any information, or do you get any information about utilization rates of STAR in terms of what percentage of owner occupants are using it? I don't know to what degree that data is available, but it seems like it definitely would be worth having a metric that we can help try to drive up, because any STAR benefit is a tax benefit for our residents.
Right, exactly. Let me ponder that. We try to catch them as, when
Do
you,
you get data as to who has signed up, even with the new online system, or are you not getting that?
yes, we are starting to get data. They weren't going to tell us initially, but then, put yourself in our shoes when the trash bills go out. It gets a little confusing, because if you've signed up with us, then we know you have the enhanced STAR. But if you've signed up with New York State, they weren't necessarily telling us, because it's an income
Right.
thing. So we're working through all of that, and there's more data becoming available every day. Every day things are changing with the STAR.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
And also in my office, over the years we've processing deeds a lot faster than ever. So by now, when it's the end of July, by next week, we will have all of the July deeds in. So that information is used for billing, delinquent billing, school districts, the police, fire, everybody uses that data. So as it's becoming available from the county, and the county office, Bill Film's office at the county real property, has been streamlining their process, which in fact helps us. So we're able to keep our data up to date much better than before because we have the information. So those are more things we want to keep going on, but how's that?
Awesome. Anything else? What's planned for next year? Anything new?
Nothing new for next year. We're trying to just,
Shocking on.
Implementation.
Very good.
thank you.
All right. Sharon, thank you. And I believe your confirmation will be moving forward. So
Thank you.
we'll congratulate you on the past work and your future work.
Thank you very much.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 55 carries 7-0. Resolution 57, resolution of the City of Troy, New York, authorizing execution and delivery of energy performance contracts and related lease purchase agreements with Siemens Industry Incorporated, Building Technologies Division for improvements at various city facilities. Council President Mantello, at the request of the administration, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Parator. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Gully. I know that we have Siemens here with us tonight, and maybe you could bring us up to speed on what you project, where you see things going, and some of the savings. And Monica, if you want to join them. You know, I would say this is kind of the next step to get us where we want to be in terms of the bonding, obviously, to do the projects, correct?
Correct. So this is a resolution to approve the energy performance contract with Siemens. And then the next step, which is kind of underway, is the financial contract, and that will come to you for August finance for September vote. We really want to make sure that you are this is passed before there's a little bit of stuff that we have to do for that financial contract. Paul Reichel, our bond counsel, has to review it. He has to issue a letter. We have to get all those documents ready. So before we do all of that, we want to make sure that this contract is passed and moving forward before we spend money on the financial component. So it's a little bit of due diligence before we need it, but they're all necessary. So this is basically what we presented to you at the General Services meeting last month. This is the contract that goes with that. So this contract is inclusive of all of those items that were presented. This is the updates to obviously the purchase and the conversion of the streetlights. This is also the improvements to the firehouses for the energy improvements components. This is the police department, the court system, as well as the DPW facilities and the parking garages. So this is the LED conversion, the actual lights conversions to LEDs, the HVAC upgrades, window upgrades, roofing upgrades. All of that is inclusive of that pro forma that you were provided at the General Services meeting. So this is just the contract to execute and then move forward so that we can get busy.
Good. Do you want to add anything like?
No, that's a good summary. If there's any questions pertaining to what we presented last month, and it's a great project from the perspective of the cumulative cash flow over the course of the project. We did finalize in a 20-year cash flow, which we shared, and we're excited to start this process and get moving with the streetlight conversion component, which is the biggest energy saver and the biggest savings from the service charge component for the city. So.
Yeah.
I will also, two things. I do know that I've had conversations with Councilman Cummings in regards to this. There was some concern in regards to, we are submitting a grant to do exploratory planning for geothermal in downtown. So I know that is something that we've been looking at. The improvements to some of the downtown areas, especially in the HVAC. We've talked to Siemens. They are at that point in time, something that we are able to provide updates to the equipment to be able to convert if we need, if able to, depending on the geothermal that gets placed. But we will also see in the interim, forever long, that does take place, whether it's 3, 4, or 5 years, if it's a good plan, obviously. We'll still see the greenhouse gas emissions improvements as well as some of the other stuff that we have to do. So that was one of the things we did talk to. I know that was a big thing for Anasha. And we are actually going to reach out to the Lighting Research Center to help participate. They are an approved NYSERDA contractor. Anasha provided me the information from them. I forwarded it to Shad. So we're going to partner with them to help us with the the quality of lights and then the lighting and, all the areas that we're going to be doing under the pilots and stuff to help us identify those areas.
So the geothermal grant will be out of NYSERDA. Do you is that where we're applying or
It's a separate, it's actually,
Okay.
through, what's that acronym?
EFC?
Yeah. No, C, what's the C? I want to say CEF, but it's not right either. No,
It's a national program.
Oh,
It's a
okay.
national program.
Okay.
oh,
It's not
it's
a state.
NSF, so.
Okay.
it's-
NSF.
That's a
yes.
totally different thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
correct.
It's
That is
totally
correct.
separate.
Yes, got
Yeah,
it.
but they've been partnering with us to help us with that program. Siemens actually did a lot of work with the Public City School District on a district-wide initiative that involved other things besides the facility improvements, which we're talking about now. So they approached us to kind of explore that idea to do a bigger program as far as smart technology for the city as a whole, which is cool. So it's just some little things that we're
Yeah.
discovering, and we're working with really good partners that have already done as part of that Buffalo program that they had done this past year.
This past year, yep.
Yeah.
What do you anticipate for LEDs? Like I recall the timeline, but I really think that's probably one of our hugest
Yeah.
savings.
90 days.
90 days. No, so no, it's so right
2
now,
weeks,
right now
2
we
weeks.
reconciled their inventory. So we've gone out and actually ahead of this process, we've actually reconciled. There's
Do you
four.
mind using the
Oh,
mic?
I'm sorry. No, not a
I
problem. So yeah, we've actually done our analysis. So we see 4,216 lights in the city. Now, actually, once this is blessed, we'll start the engagement process with National Grid, reconcile against their billing inventory. And then once we agree that that's the right number, then we'll execute that agreement to go to the PSC, and then the PSC will review it and approve it. I would love to say it was 90 days. We're actually engaged with a couple other municipalities in the area, and it's a little slow process. The contract documents are just coming out now. We're actually going back and forth. So by the time we actually get this submitted, I'm hoping it's a little more expedited for this with you guys in this process. But I would say it's probably 90 days to 120 days of conversion.
Once you get,
Once it gets the
Got it.
approval. yeah.
Yep. Cool.
So installation is about 3 months total. Once we actually get you guys purchase the lights and we can start it, it's about a 3-month conversion process.
Okay.
It's impressive.
Yeah.
It's a lot of lights.
Oh, yeah. Be fabulous. Any further? Yeah, Councilman.
Yep, thank you for the update. I am excited to hear about the geothermal being considered as well. That's great, and I appreciate Councilmember Cummings on suggestions to work with the Lighting Resource Center. My question is related to the pilot program. I think I just heard you say it again. Are you anticipating starting in certain segments of the city? What is that going to look like?
So are we
Yeah, we'll need to identify where we want to do this and when we want to start that pilot process. We haven't gotten that far yet.
Okay.
Where we are, it's really just this reconciliation of the inventory first. The rollout, we can start that process once this is approved on where we want to target these areas. You can't start the pilot program until you actually purchase them, because
Right.
National Grid won't let us. They would not want us to do any
You got to
conversions till
reconcile
we
first and then get all the things in order. Thank you for working on this. I think the LED lighting is a great idea and cost savings measures to the taxpayers. This is all great stuff, so I'm looking forward to seeing that progress.
Any further? Councilmember Kennedy.
Can you just explain again for me why the financial component is separate from the scope of work?
And the financial component from the scope of work.
Financial
So it's
component.
typically you approve the project and then we go
I'm
to.
so
Okay,
sorry.
I apologize.
It's-
We actually can do both, but it's really at the discretion of Monica to review everything and do it in one fall swoop. But typically, we approve the project, then it gets funded, and then we actually start the work.
So
So-
typically for who? Typically for your firm, or typically?
No, just the actual process of a performance contract. You approve the contract, then you get the financing for it, then we start the work. It's really at the discretion of the city of how you want to perform that.
So just I think we talked about this in the general services meeting with Andy. We looked at bonding versus also financing through Siemens Financial as well too. Siemens was able to come in with some really great rates, and Andy did his due diligence along with fiscal advisors to make sure that that was the right step for us to do. So we've done some preliminary analysis, but again, making sure I don't want to engage a financial consultant, a legal expert to draw up paperwork if we're not going to have an approved contract. So we're just trying to be fiscal about it. We're trying to be prudent and just make sure that we follow all the steps and make sure you guys are comfortable with the performance contract before we make next steps.
I mean, Monica, obviously we looked through this. It was, I believe, at the GS also. Is there anything that you saw like super striking in this performance contract that kind of, wait a minute, we should go in a different direction, or do you feel really comfortable?
No, I think,
Where we are.
and it's the street lighting conversion, and no offense to Siemens, but the street lighting conversion is pretty straightforward, right?
Yeah.
You work on the deal, and who is that partner that has experience, who you have, experience with, and who can provide. The thing with us is we were looking for plus, right? We were looking for
Right.
lighting plus, because we knew we needed to do these infrastructure improvements. And this was a really great way to be able to pay for them through savings, through energy savings, and then being able to have the guaranteed performance on it as well, the guaranteed savings. So if we don't make those savings, they're actually going to cut us a check for that for the next 20 years. We're hopeful, obviously, that we won't. But being able to derive the benefit out of the lighting component for the streetlights, there's so much significant savings just due to the facilities charge that National Grid charges you to have the streetlights, that you just have the opportunity to be able to do some really great innovative stuff with it, and I think that we can look at future phases if we need to, because there is so much significant savings that we're going to explore, just like the smart city stuff that we were talking about. There's still room within this budget and within the savings on an annual basis to be able to tap into that and be able to offer an amendment to be able to explore those other things. So
Okay,
that's
I
what's
like
really-
that.
yeah.
I like that. Very good. Further questions, discussions? So you expect to come back in September,
August.
the August finance meeting for September?
Yep.
Perfect. Okay, very good. All right, further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 57 carries 7-0. I will take a motion to adjourn and
Council President,
oh, yes.
sorry, I have a question about the tabled legislation.
Yeah.
Is it appropriate to, who would I ask about that?
You can ask me as the parliamentarian.
I'd just like an update on what is going on with the bond resolution of the city of Troy, authorizing the issuance of an additional $300,000 bonds to finance the rehabilitation of Powers Park. That was tabled in January, and I'm wondering about that money and when we can see the rehabilitation of the park.
That would be Steve Strikeman, but we did ask about that the other day, where Powers Park is. Steve has stated, please go get Steve, that he's negotiating with, because we have a $400,000 grant. So the council obviously voted unanimously to table it, feeling that we didn't want to put more money into Powers Park in terms of coming in that budget of the 400K. So Monica, if you want to add to that,
Yeah,
that'd be
so
great.
at that one meeting where
Yeah.
we tabled it, it was actually requested that we go back to SHPO to see if we can adjust, the
Right.
scope of work. I do believe that they have approved that, so we'll have to go re-out to bid with the change in the scope of work to be able to be identified for the reduced amount. So since we don't have the extra funds to be able to do the extra work, we had to reduce the scope of work to be able to work within the funding that we had.
And
So I would anticipate that that's going to go out here pretty soon.
So we're not in jeopardy of losing this
No.
300, okay.
Nope, not at all.
And the grant, Councilmember Parator, is 400K. So this was going to tack on another 300K, which the council said, wait a minute, let's see if we can stay in budget with the 400K. So saying that, I'm so glad that you brought this up, because I've been actually wanting to talk to the council. I would be very happy to make a motion to withdraw this permanently from a tabled item, since we aren't going to bond for the 300K. So I'll make a motion to withdraw this particular resolution number 2. Is there a second discussion? All in favor?
Aye. Thank you.
Opposed? Yep. And I'd be very happy as the sponsor of this, we won't have to take a vote. I will withdraw resolution 35, or ordinance 35.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Do I have a motion?
Just clarify, you're
Yes.
withdrawing both 2 and 35.
Correct.
Okay.
And just so folks know, before we adjourn, the tabled items for committees are not under Robert's rules. The tabled items for council meetings are under Robert's rules. Our committees have not been in the rules as designated as Robert's rules.
I second the motion.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We'll take a 3-minute bathroom break and restroom break, and then we'll come right back for the regular. Thank you. 3 minutes. Or stretch.